Good morning, everyone. It's Paul Dobson here from SBG Accountants in Melbourne, chatting with Cody Thompson from Lightning Sites. As we know, in the digital marketing age for small business, a great website can be the difference between boom and bust. And what we'd like to do today is explore some of the key things that you need to have your website working for you as your silent salesman in the digital age we're in. So, welcome, Cody.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks so much for having me, mate.
Yeah, looking forward to you running through and highlighting for us some of your tips and tricks and some things that will really make small businesses' websites really boom.
Cool, mate. Yeah, looking forward to it. And I appreciate that you've got a AFL backdrop as well for us this morning. So I live up here on the Gold Coast, so I don't get to see many AFL fans up here. So always good to see good to see an AFL jersey in the background as well, mate.
Yeah, die-hard Bulldog supporter, but don't hold it against me.
Well, I have to go for the Gold Coast Suns up here, so it's not much fun for us at the moment. So
definitely not. Well, let's kick it off. If you can start running through what your thoughts are in relation to having a great website and a great marketing tool that can really help improve your business and really grow your business in a big way.
Cool, mate. Yeah, sure. So I've put together some slides for your clients today. And so I'll take you through those, and sort of what I'm hoping to do with these slides is give sort of anyone some tips that they can implement right away into their website to get better results from their website. So I think a lot of people out there just don't really know what goes into making a website good. And so they have to trust a web developer. And sometimes, sometimes there's not a lot of trustworthy web developers out there, if we're honest. And a lot of people have got sort of horror stories of, sending money overseas and getting someone to build something, or even local people kind of going missing in action. So what I wanted to do is just, I suppose, give some tips that anyone could either take to a web developer if they've already got an existing website. They could implement these strategies on their current site, or if they're looking at getting a new website built, then they can make sure that their new website has these sort of elements in it. So let me run through these slides. I'll just bring up I'll bring up my screen. Why don't I'll share my screen here, and then we can sort of go from there. So let me bring these slides up for us. So what I'm going to run through is basically 7 foolproof strategies for higher conversion. So we're going to go through what conversion is as part of the presentation. But what I thought I'll do is I'll just start by giving a bit of information about myself. So that's me and my wife, Sarah, there. So we're in Yosemite National Park in the States. That was one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. But thought I'd show a great picture of her because she's much better looking than me. So it's something that you guys can enjoy. That's where I grew up. So not far from Melbourne, Bendigo. That's the cathedral that's in the center of the city there. So that's my old stomping grounds. So moved up here for the sunshine, and also to take on sort of a volunteer position that I was doing in a church up here. So that's sort of how we ended up on the Gold Coast a few years back. So that's my old hometown. So my first business was actually Design Fox. So I started out as a freelance graphic designer. Basically, when I finished uni, I needed some extra work, some extra cash to move up to the Gold Coast. So I'd been previously working in a church as a pastor, running like youth programs and things like that. And then, so I basically designed this logo, built my own website, and then just hit the streets and was just sort of asking for work. And basically, this business sort of boomed quite quickly. And then I found myself just sort of too busy doing freelance work. And basically, this Design Fox business, all I could do was basically keep increasing my prices. And so I got hooked up with a guy named Dale Beaumont, who was sort of my business coach and helped me to build up this business. But it got to a point where we were just like, all I could do really was up my prices. That was the only way I could really scale the business. And so it wasn't a very good business model. We were sort of charging sort of 10K for websites. And we had tons of work, but I wasn't really working with the people that I wanted to work with. And I was doing all the work myself. So it wasn't a very scalable business model. And so then I launched Lightning Sites, which is a much more effective business model. And we're going to talk a little bit about what we do at the end, I think, Paul. But basically launched this about 12 months ago, 18 months ago. And it's been fantastic. So I live on the Gold Coast now. And this is me speaking on stage at Business Blueprint. So I love basically just helping business owners. That's what I'm passionate about. I think business owners, I think the thing I love about hanging out with entrepreneurs and people like yourself, Paul, is it's just like we have dreams to do like awesome things in the world. And I really do think that small business owners are a huge like power for change in the world. And so I really enjoy spending time with people who have crazy ideas. It just energizes me. So yeah, so that's a bit about me.
Totally agree with you there. I'm all for really looking at what's going on in a business, and we're very, very passionate about small business, whether it's big, small, medium, or large. And the thing that I'm looking forward to hearing about now is how you can really help a small business, because one of the constant amounts of feedback we hear is what you alluded to at the start, that someone spent a lot of money on a website that isn't working, or they've got a website that's not generating any leads. They feel like they've got nowhere to turn. They don't really know who to talk to. They don't know who to trust. So looking forward to you running through that now and sort of giving a bit of an insight into the website of things and how you can really help make a difference.
Yeah, awesome, man. Yeah, I think that's so true. Like people, I think people just don't know what they need to communicate. A lot of people have a lot of people I think can see what they want, or they kind of know what they want with their website, but they don't know how to kind of communicate that to a web developer. And they kind of end up having to just sort of trust the person that they're going to, do the right thing by them. And unfortunately, not everyone out there is has the sort of same values that we have. And so some people are just not getting great experiences. So what I'll do is I'm going to run through now some facts about websites, and just to give you guys a bit of an overview of like what's happening in the web world right now. So some stats from a group called Co-Marketing. They did a huge study where they basically just surveyed thousands of people and asked them about their experiences using websites. And the question that they asked them was, one of the questions that they asked them was, what do you want to see? What's the first thing that you want to see when you hit a website? And they were allowed to tick like a few things. Like I think they could tick one, like 3 things out of a list of 12 or 15 items of about what they wanted to see when they land on the website. And it's interesting, the results. So 86% of people wanted to see services and products, which makes sense, right? They want to know what the company offers. Interestingly, 64% wanted to see contact information, which makes sense. Again, you want to be able to contact the person really easily. If you're wanting to reach out to them, then you need to be able to contact them. You shouldn't have to search around for contact details. And you'd be surprised how many websites of clients I've seen where I can't even find their phone number or their email or whatever, or I can't find their address. And so, obviously that's a huge, huge issue. 52% of people said that they wanted to see about us and team, which I thought was kind of curious. But it kind of made sense when I thought about it, that people don't want to deal with like a faceless company. I think people get sick of, like Telstra, for example. You go on a Telstra website, you have to dig through like 50 pages to find a phone number, and you don't even know who you're kind of dealing with. And I think people don't like that. They kind of want to know who they're dealing with. So that kind of made sense once I thought about it. And then 27% of people said testimonials. Obviously that builds credibility. People are wanting to see whether they can trust you or not. So that made sense too. And then 12% said social media. A lot of people are using social media now as a way to research, not just as a way to socialize with their friends. A lot of people use Facebook to search for products and services, Pinterest as well, Instagram as well. People are using those services much more now to actually search for the things that they want. So thought that was interesting. Then the other thing that they asked was, what's the main thing that's lacking on a website when you go to a website? So, and this is what people wrote. 56% of people said that they were missing pricing. They went to the website trying to find a price and couldn't find it. Now there's obviously some business models where, showing the pricing is not going to be the best strategy for that particular business. But generally speaking, this is what people said that they were looking for when they came to the site. So they were looking for pricing. 47%, this is amazing. 47% of people were looking for contact information and couldn't find it, which is crazy. And then 43% of people said that it's the lacking reviews and testimonials. So people couldn't find out, they couldn't build that trust. And then the last one was times and schedules. People want to know, people have a deadline for services, like whatever your business is. Like let's say it's a gym, people need to find out, what your class times are to make sure that it fits in with their life. Or if they're looking at building a website with me, for example, they need to know like how long it takes to build a website, so that, if they need something quickly or whatever, they need to be able to know if it's going to fit in with what they're looking at doing.
I know you're going to touch on it later, but the contact information part absolutely staggers me most of the time. A lot of small business owners with their websites, it is a major issue. They're lacking lead magnets, and they're lacking the ability for someone to connect, and they're wasting their money. They're getting people to their site, but they're not being able to convert. So I know you're going to touch on that later on, but it's a really, really important part.
Absolutely. Yeah. Some people are ready to pick up the phone and ring you right away, but some people aren't. But it's absolutely amazing how many people simply don't even have their phone numbers working on their website, or they have the wrong phone number or the wrong address or whatever. And they, it's amazing how many websites that I review where contact forms aren't working, things like that, like just basic things on your website, but obviously makes a huge difference. If people can't contact you, then you're definitely losing business. And if people can't, get some free value through lead magnets, we're going to talk about that later, like you said, then absolutely you're missing out on that opportunity. So here's some key takeaways from that data. So make sure your contact information is easily visible on the website. Make sure it's really clear what you offer and what the next step is for people to engage with you. So it's often called CTAs, or call to actions. So make sure people know what that next step is. Make navigation as simple as possible so people can find the information they want easily. Incorporate standard website principles, like having the logo linked back to the home page. So a lot of times people want to say to me that they want to do something like special with a navigation or something like that. But you're best to just stick with what is a standard website principle, so that if people come to the website, there's not crazy stuff going on. The things that they think that they can do, they can do. So if they click on the logo on your home, on the menu, it takes them back to the home page. Or if they click on the telephone number, it rings. If they click on their email address, it opens up their email to send an email. Like basic stuff like that is really important.
I think one of the issues there for a lot of business owners that particularly don't have a website, the reason they take too long to get one is they put too many hurdles in their own way. So I think your message there is keep it simple and rely on you guys to get the basics up and running and get the key things in there and just get it moving forward.
Absolutely. I think, every day that you don't have something on your, something online, you're missing out on opportunities. Like a lot of people are using Facebook now, to promote their business. And I've had a lot of people say to me, why shouldn't I just use Facebook? Why do I need a website? But I think the reality is anyone who's been in business, for any decent amount of time understands that the importance of a website is not just for your customers, it's actually for, acquiring partners. It's for giving your customers an easy way to refer you. Like if I want to refer someone to you, Paul, I can just send them a link to your website. I know that your website has the things on it that they can get free value. They can get to know you a bit. So it's a great tool for me to actually be able to refer work to you. So having that website, like every day you don't have something up, it's definitely costing your business. Even if it's just something small, like a single landing page that has your basic core offering with a contact form, that's better than having nothing. So that at least someone can, at least you can send that link out. Like if you're talking to someone, you can send them that link and then they can take the next step. Like I just think it's so important.
Totally agree. People have got to look at their website as their 24/7 salesperson. So, and we're not going to talk too much about Facebook today, but I agree that Facebook's got to be a tool that forms part of their strategy, but it shouldn't be the only part of the strategy.
Totally. So the other thing that obviously when someone comes onto your website, you've got a very short period of time to keep them there. And so one of the questions that they asked was, why do you leave websites? And this is what people said. 46% of people said that they leave a website. The main reason is because of a lack of message. And what they meant by that was lack of being able to understand what the business was about. And I think that's huge on websites. 44% left because they couldn't find contact information quick enough, or they couldn't find it at all. 42% left because of animated ads. Can I just say that you should not have any space for Google? Don't rent out any space on your own website for advertising because it just annoys people. So that's 42% of people leave because of that. It's 37% left because of poor design and navigation. So they didn't like the look of the site, or they couldn't navigate their way around easy. Some other things that annoyed people was automatic video and audio. So having a video that automatically plays or having audio that automatically plays, unless it's a landing page that has a video that automatically plays and people are expecting that, then you shouldn't have that on your homepage. Intrusive live chat, 30% of people. Sliders are a big one. Lots of people ask me for sliders, but the reality is stats show us that it decreases conversion on websites. Tiny text and then stock photos was another reason why people leave websites, if it just looks like it's too stocky and not a real kind of company.
Okay.
So here's some key takeaways from that. It's really important to state what your business is all about in jargon-free language to get people's interest, then redrive all content back to this core offer. So have a really clear core message. And to get to this point, you need to have a clear understanding about what your business is. So before you build a website, you need to make sure your model for your business, you've got that kind of nailed down. If you don't have that nailed down, maybe that's something even they talk. I'm not sure if they even can maybe even talk to you about that, Paul, as their accountant, or they need to find someone that they can really make sure they nut out their business model and nut out what that core offer is.
Yeah, too many people expect that the web developer is the one that's going to do that for them, and that's not correct. They need to know who they are and what they're about, who their target client is, if they're looking at particular niches, and they need to give you that information. So.
Absolutely. I mean, if they're working with me, obviously I can help them with that. But if they're working with, generally web developers don't have that experience in business. Now, obviously I own a few businesses, so I've got that experience, but you can't expect a web developer to be able to, business coach you while they kind of build the website. So it's important that they get that kind of right in their mind first. And then make sure your website's designed to be modern. Remove anything from your website that distracts from the core message and annoys people. And then you can use tools like pingdom.com and GT metrics to check load speeds and other issues that are going to stop people from staying on your website. So here's some stats from Google, why your website's important. 93% of people said that they search on Google first. So when they're looking for a new service, like if they're looking for an accountant, for example, they're going to search for it on Google first, 93% of people. Then 33% of people will compare vendors. So what that means is while they've got your website open, they're going to open one of your competitors' website and compare your website with them. And they're going to compare your services. So literally straight after opening your website, they're probably going to open another 2 or 3 websites and actually compare services using websites. And then out of those people, 53% of people compare reviews, whilst 87% of people said they compare products and prices, which I thought's really interesting. Obviously, there's people that are price shopping. And so some key things to take away from that is I think we just need to understand that whether we like it or not, people are going to compare us to our competitors. So I think we need to get on the front foot and make sure that they're not comparing apples and oranges, that they're actually they're understanding what our value is, so that when they compare us to our competitors, they're understanding our value. So even if we're more expensive than our competitors, they can understand why we're more expensive, that we're a more premium service or premium product. So here's a couple of tips. I would consider using like clear charts and checklists to show exactly what people get so that they know like what's included in the packages if you are going to show your prices. Having testimonials is really important. And then providing multiple content assets to keep people returning. So like, and that's what you were talking about before with lead magnets and like non-gated content, like having webinars and blog articles and videos and content that encourages people to come back to your website. And it also shows that you're an expert in your field.
I agree. And I think it's one of the fears from small business owners is where do we go to create these things? You don't need to be blogging every day. It could be a once a week, once a fortnight. It could be a quarterly newsletter or magazine sent through the back end of the website. It's a touch point to connect with your clients on a regular basis and continue to add value. Absolutely. It's more about quality than quantity. Like even if you were doing one blog a month and it was absolute fire, like every time you write content, it's really well thought out. It's definitely more about quality than quantity. Like just getting someone else to write your articles for you and throwing up an article every 2 or 3 days is not going to generate any interest in your business, because when people read it, they're not going to be attracted to it. But if you can share your experience, even if it's one article a month, that article can serve you for years. Every time someone has that question, you can send them that link to that article or people can find it online. So it's really important. Right. So let's talk about conversion. And that's what we're going to mainly talk through today. So it's important that we kind of understand what a website, how do you have a successful website? And what we find is a lot of people you need 3 things really. You need 2 things to be successful online. You need targeted traffic. So you need the attention of people
who are your target audience, and then you need to be able to convert them into a customer. And that's how you be successful online. So there's those two elements, attention and conversion. And so we're going to have a look through, these are some stats from today's internet stats. It's pretty crazy. So you can see how many internet users there are. You can check these live at any time at internetlivestats.com. You can see how many emails are sent today, the number of websites. It's pretty crazy. So take a look at that. But I show you that really to say that marketing is a contest for people's attention. So it's, there's a lot of people out there, trying to get the attention of your clients or your ideal clients. So we need to make sure that we can get some of that attention for ourselves. So what does success look like? It looks like having both of those two things working, not just having attention, but also having conversion. So this is what. So
just to touch on that, and I know you're going to run through it a bit, but it's a common question that comes up to me regularly is people saying to me, look, we've had 10 leads on our website, but we don't know how many we're converting, or we're not converting enough because they haven't got the process right. That means basically throwing money away. So,
exactly. I would say
a bit of detail because it's one of the biggest failures of a lot of small businesses.
Yeah, I think that the reality is a lot of people just aren't tracking any of the metrics. Like they're not tracking how many people visit their website. Like a lot of people, I think, understand what a marketing funnel is. And a lot of people understand that they should be tracking their data, but they just get caught up doing so many other things in their business that they just never really sit down and work it out. And so a lot of people just pay and pray. Like that's the way most people are doing their advertising right now. They just pay and pray that the people come. Like they'll pay for Google AdWords or they'll pay for Facebook ads, and they just kind of throw money at it, or they throw money at an agency and ask them to do it all for them. I just don't think that there's enough good people in that industry out there that are going to actually do the right thing by you. If you just throw money at things, I think as a business owner, you need to have a handle on it yourself. You need to kind of have your finger on the pulse. I definitely don't think you need to do it yourself, but I think you need to understand how it all works so that you don't get taken for a ride.
Agree. And it's definitely not a set and forget process. So.
Absolutely. So what is conversion rate? Basically, it's the actions taken on your website divided by the traffic, divided by the number of people that come to your website. So for example, 1,000 visitors hit your website. One page might then result with 60 sales, or a sale. I'm calling it sales there, but it could be opt-ins as well, or whatever the action on that page is. So if 60 people signed up, then it's a 6% conversion. Whereas if 120 people sign up, that's a 12% conversion. So obviously you can see variation A and variation B as just an example of two websites. So if your website currently is converting at say 6% and you're getting 1,000 visitors and then 6% of people are, becoming customers, or 6% of people are, taking that next step to work with you. Even if you put say a dollar value on that, let's say the sale value for you is $1,000, then that's obviously $60,000 worth of sales. Whereas just changing the landing page, just changing that web page that they hit to increase conversions to 12% would result in like a $60,000 increase. So obviously conversion of your website is important because every little percent along the way equals more dollars in the bank at the end of the day. And it's amazing how just 1% extra conversion on that landing page, or an extra couple of percent converting to a strategy phone call or whatever, can make a huge difference in the sales that you make in your business. So basically that's conversion rates explained in a really simple way. So basically what I want to go through today with you guys, Paul, is just 7 things that you can do on your website that's going to guarantee that you're going to increase your conversion. So if you're at a 6% right now and you're trying to get up towards 12%, I just want to give you the 7 number one things that I would do. So the most important things that I would look at if I'm trying to convert a website higher. So the first thing is...
Right, so if I could just jump in there, for anyone who's watching this video, really, really focus for the next 5 to 10 minutes, because these are some really, really key takeaways.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. So this one here is trim the fat from your website. So this is Dr. Phil. Here's your fat. Don't sugarcoat it because you'll eat that too. I don't know why I put that in there. I just think it's a funny meme. So here it is. Trim the fat. Does this make sense? The company utilizes collaboration in the pursuit of revenue-based, customer-focused service. That was a line from one of my clients' websites. Doesn't make any sense, right, to a normal person. It kind of uses really cool words, but doesn't really make that much sense. Whereas they could have just written it like this: our business values customer service at all levels. You can even email our CEO with an issue. Like, it makes sense, right? So think about your website in a way that you can produce stuff you just take all the fat off your website. So don't have extra content that you don't need. Don't have large slabs of text if you can explain what you can explain in one paragraph. So just get rid of all of the stuff that you don't need on your website, and just have the stuff that is core to explaining your service and getting people to take that next step, and do it in a way that is easy, like in an easy language for people to understand. Next one is take people on a buying journey. So you need to understand that when people are on your website, not everyone's ready to buy. So you need to give them some value first. Gary Vee is a sort of a famous entrepreneur, and he has this sort of saying. He says, give value, give value, give value, and then ask for business. So you have to understand that not everyone's ready to buy. And before they're ready to buy, a lot of people just want to get some value from you. They want to know if you're experienced. I just think that giving value first is such a great principle in business. Like, if you can benefit somebody else before you ever ask for money, then they'll be knocking down your door wanting to pay you to help them. And sometimes it's as easy as just identifying their problem. Identifying their problem better than they can identify it for themselves, and they'll think, holy moly, like, this guy knows me, this guy understands me, and I'll be banging down your door to get you to help them. So understanding when people come to your website that people are at a different stage. So some people are in the awareness stage. They know about you, or they've just landed on your website, and so they're aware of you, but they're not really interested yet, and they don't really trust you yet. Then there's people at the interest stage where they've built some trust with you. They're interested in your service, and then there's people that are ready to buy. And so you have to understand that all three types of these people are on your website at the same time, and they all have different needs. And so this is what I do. I ask myself, what do I have on the website for lookers, and what do I have for buyers? So I want you to ask yourself that question. What's on your website right now for people who are just looking? And what do you have for people who are ready to take the next step or buy from you? So ask yourself that question. And then
I think that the other key takeaway with that is that too many people's websites, it's all about them and it's not about their client. So if they do have the lookers and buyers, often the website has no information for either of them. So
exactly. And that's kind of what we were talking about before with lead magnets, right? Lead magnets are perfect for the lookers, like having an ebook that they can download, or a video course that they can get access to, or webinars that they can watch, things that right now they're looking and they're gathering information. So let's give them the information that they need, and then we're going to be top of mind when they're ready to buy. So number 3 is build trust. The easiest way for me to illustrate this is just with a sort of like an example story. So let's say I went to the mall and I bought a brand new iPhone. Even if it was still in its packaging, if I went round the mall and tried to sell that iPhone, even if it was completely brand new, still in its box, if I went up to someone and said, this is a $900 iPhone, would you buy this from me for $600? I can imagine it would be really challenging for me to sell that iPhone. Even if I sold it for less, the reason why no one would buy it from me is because they don't trust me, right? Because I'm some random guy at the mall trying to sell them an iPhone. It's the same with our websites. A lot of time people won't buy things from us, not because our price is too high, even though sometimes people think that's what it is. Oh, it must be because my price is too high. No, most of the time it's just because people, number one, they don't see the value in what you're offering, and number two, they don't trust you. So you need to build trust through your website. So how do we actually do that? There's a few ideas here. So you could remove all of the errors from your website. So for example, I've seen websites that have like even just spelling errors can make a big difference in terms of whether or not people trust you. Even like sites getting hacked. So like sometimes people, when they visit your website, I've seen clients' websites where when they came to me and they had like warnings, like if I searched for them on Google, it would come up with like a hacked warning. Be careful, this website has viruses or something like that. So you need to make sure you get rid of all those kinds of errors. Then you can stack your numbers and display them. So like if I was, working, with let's just say I'm working with a lawyer, I might get him to tell me the experience of all of his lawyers. And you might say, well, John's got 10 years experience and I've got 15 years experience and Martha's got 20 years experience. And we could actually stack the numbers and say something like, our law firm has over 100 years experience in practicing law, something like that. So you can stack your numbers, number of clients, or if I was doing a law firm, it might be like number of cases won, or number of contracts drawn up, or whatever, just to show that we've been around for a long time. Verifications for your claims. So anything that you claim on your website, like if you say that you're Australia's #1 law firm, then you need to prove it, so you need to have some sort of award or something like that. You can't just say stuff without actually having proof. So prove your verifications, update your website often. So a lot of times people don't update stuff. Like if they don't update WordPress, then stuff on their website might break, and stuff might not be working properly on their website. Those kinds of things lose the trust of the audience when they're on your website.
And there's nothing worse than going onto a website and their most recent blog was on the 13th of June 2014 or something like that. They might not be up to date.
Exactly right. Or even sometimes like the contact form might have worked a year ago, but now it's broken or something like that, and they don't update those things. So showing contact information obviously builds trust. If you don't have phone numbers and stuff on your site and people just kind of wonder if you're legit or not, displaying business affiliations. And then the last one is keeping your site secure with an SSL certificate. So you might have seen that when you view if you go to any reputable company, like let's say you go on the Commonwealth Bank's website, you'll see it's got like a little green lock at the top of the screen that says that it's SSL secured, which means that it's free from viruses and it's a safe place to view. So things like that are really important to have on your website. Some other examples would be testimonials, case studies, success stories, demonstrations of your services, and reviews. Those kinds of things help build proof on your website. Number 4, take care of objections. So whether you like it or not, people are going to have objections to your service. So I think we need to get on the front foot and take care of those objections before they even ask them. So put yourself in the shoes of your customer and ask yourself, what are the things that would stop them buying my service? And then go ahead and make sure you answer them on your website. So some common objections would be like, it's too expensive. Another one would be, you don't get my problem, like you don't understand me. Another one would be like, why should I trust you? And then another one would be like, what if the product or service is defective or fails? Like, do you have some sort of guarantee? So, I mean, they're just an example of some common objections, but obviously they're going to be different for every business. But put yourself in the shoes of a customer. In fact, you might even ask some friends, why wouldn't you buy my service? Like, give me an honest feedback. If you hit my website, what would be the things that would stop you from taking the next step? And just gather some data that way and figure out how you can kind of solve some of those objections.
Yeah, and some good tips there for anyone tuning in that has a website that isn't working. Really, really sit down and have a look at why and ask yourself some of these questions.
Yeah, and ask trusted people. I mean, you could ask, like people like yourself, Paul, or other people that, like, if you've got a trusted business relationship with a mentor or a business coach or an accountant or someone that's seen a lot of businesses, has got a lot of experience, just ask them to spend 2 minutes. Hey, just take a look at my website. Tell me what you think. Honestly, like, tell me what you honestly think, not what you think I want to hear. Tell me, what are the things that you think I could improve on? Obviously, don't ask your auntie around the corner who doesn't have any idea what she's talking about. Make sure that you're talking to people that are your target avatar, or talk to people who have business experience. Otherwise, you don't want to be led astray by random people, but definitely want to gather information. So, number 5, convey value. I haven't put much in here because this just makes basic sense. Just make sure that whatever your service is, that you're actually displaying value on your website. So, like I said before, you could use checklists, you could use demonstration videos. Just make sure that people understand why you charge what you charge or what the value of your product is. So case studies showing real-time results, return on investment that clients have had with using your product, that kind of stuff that actually shows them the value of the product before they see the price. So if you are going to display prices on your website, make sure that you're displaying value first. Otherwise, if someone comes and you're displaying a price that's 10K or whatever, but you're not displaying any value, then they're more likely to go with a cheaper option. But if you can display value first, then if you are going to show your prices, at least that they understand why they're paying what they're paying. Number 6, make taking the next step easy. So I like to call it like a slippery sales process. You just want people to be able to slip into that process without any sort of friction. So make it really easy on your website. So some ways that you can do that is make sure that every page has a clear call to action. So make sure that it's got like clear next steps of what they should do next. And make sure you always tell them what happens after the next step. So a lot of times I like to do things like on a checkout page, I'd have a video explaining like, hey, Cody here, if you fill out this form, what's going to happen next is, you're going to get to the thank you page. On the thank you page, you're going to get these videos and this, and just explaining exactly what happens once they take the next step makes it easy for people to kind of slip into that process. Next tip would be limit your choices. Don't have too many choices. Like I've had businesses come to me and their pricing page, they got like 10 options for pricing. And it's like, if you have too many options, people get confused and they don't buy anything. So make sure that you limit your choices, make it really easy for people to choose, make it easy for people to know where they fit in the process, if that makes sense. Make the process so simple that it's easy for people to see where they can self-select which is going to be right for them. Less fields on the forms. So only gather information on the forms that you actually need. So don't grab their mum's birthday, their mum's maiden name. Like, don't grab their Skype ID, their phone number, their email, their fax number. If you're not going to use that kind of information, if all you need is name and email, then just take name and email. If all you need is name, email, and phone number, then just take name, email, and phone number. Don't ask for too much information if you are not going to use it. So that's really important. And then having a clear getting started process.
I think the key message there is the website's done its job. It's got people there. It's got them engaged. Now what you want to do is make it really simple for them to take immediate action. So,
exactly. Yeah. And I just love this, this quote: confusion leads to no sales. If people get confused, they won't buy. It's as simple as that. Last one is remove distractions. So this is when like landing pages come into play. And what a landing page is, I'll just show you this example here. So this is an example of an online store. On the left is a non-optimized online store. So you can see that there's lots of buttons for them to click at the top of the page. There's a main menu. Yep. And then you can see on the right, the same shopping cart page, but adjusted to have more conversion. So what you can see here has been adjusted is that there's no main menu. There's nothing for them to click on. You can see that there's a little graph at the top that shows them where they are in the checkout process. You can see that there's upsells here, add up to 4 gift options to include with your gift. So it's like would you like fries with that, kind of deal. And then instead of having proceed to checkout, which sounds really cold, it's just got next. Like take the next step. Don't worry about getting your checkbook out yet. Just take the next step, And so it just pushes them through that process. And then even at the end there, you can see it says, secure checkout as the last step. It's not any different to the last. It's not any more secure than the last checkout page. But because it's got those words there, it just makes it much a high converting page. So you can see we've removed all of the distractions on that website. So I'm going to show you some examples of that in a moment on some of our clients' websites, but that gives you a bit of an idea.
No, it makes perfect sense. Very subtle, but it's very simple.
Yes. And a lot of the things when it comes to optimizing a website are very simple. Like it's not, it's not complicated stuff. It's the stuff that seems, common sense, but a lot of times people just aren't following those common sense practices. Yeah. So what I'll do now is I'm just going to, I'll exit out of this and just change my screen to share something else. Let me bring up, and I'll just show you guys an example of how this can work on a demo, on one of our demo sites. So I'll just bring up I'll bring up one of our demo sites here, and I'll just show you guys how this kind of plays out in a normal sort of website environment. So let me bring up this as an example. So here's an example of our demo site, which is basically the way a lot of people build their websites with us. You've got really 2 options when you build a website with Lightning Sites. You've got the demo site where you can literally just use page templates that I've already pre-made off of this site, and you can get a website built for under $650. You can get a website built using just these page templates. But I want to show you a couple of examples on here. So you'll see on our website, everything is very clear. Everything is very modern, the way we lay out pages. Each section is very kind of clear, and every page has very clear call to actions. We've got call to actions in our footers. We've got our phone numbers and contact details that's easy to find, that's very easy to click on. Simple navigation. Again, phone numbers, emails, social media, contact details at the top of the page, stuff that makes it easy for people to connect with you. We've also found that instead of using live chat, we found that this works quite well. Message us button. So we actually have integrated like Facebook Messenger with our client's website. So I can just click on that and then I can just send a message straight away using Facebook Messenger to the business directly from the website. So that's pretty cool. If you're on a mobile phone, you can click on that and it opens up your Messenger app and you can message the business straight away. So we found that that works pretty cool rather than having live chat and having to manage like another live chat account. You can just use that message us button.
No, we won't. I won't get sidetracked, but it's one of the most important things when someone has contacted you or connected with you. It's critical to get a response time very, very quickly. Otherwise, they'll go cold very fast.
Exactly. The faster you can contact them back, the better. So that's an example of the page. But we also have pages that are more sort of sales focused, like this one, where you've got like an opt-in right at the top of the page. This one shows like some logos of, places that you've been featured. So it's like, we call this like credibility by logos, like showing off the people that you've worked with or showing off your associations. But you can see I'm going straight for an opt-in at the top of the page. And then, I've got some different sections here that I can use. And then this is something for the lookers that we talked about before, where we've got like an ebook here that they could download, so that if they're not ready to take the next step. So let's say this was a, book a free call, for example, but they're not ready to book a free call yet. Or they might be ready to download this white paper, or they might be ready to download this video course or something like that. So you can sort of see there's a lot of page templates on here. You can find this link to our website, on our website to our demo site, and you can take a look through here. You can also see I've got this exit intent pop-up. So as I put my cursor to the top of the page, it thought I was trying to leave. And so I've actually got an exit intent pop-up set up here so that it's like a last chance opt-in. If they're about to leave, we can give them one last shot at getting them to opt in and give us their details before they leave. Because the reality is, once they leave, there's a huge percentage of people that will never come back. So we want to try to get them in our database so we can market to them and follow them up.
Yeah.
So I could go through tons of pages, but a lot of them, all of them are very sort of conversion focused. So even if you're not thinking of, using someone like us to build a website, you're more than welcome to jump on this demo site and get some ideas, of the kind of thing that you want to do or the kind of things that you want to tweak on your site. We do have a lot of things like landing pages on here as well as examples. So like I mentioned before, where you remove distractions. So you can see on this page, for example, there's no main menu. All the menus removed. All they can do is either ring the number or download the ebook. So if you were sending Facebook ads to something, you wanted someone to download an ebook, don't send them to your home page where they can get distracted on lots of other stuff. Send them to a specific page where they can only do a specific thing. And that's how we can actually track the conversion. We can track how many people hit this website, how many people hit this page, and then how many people fill out the form. And then we can know exactly how much money it's costing us for a lead.
I think one of the critical things that I'm picking up just in you flicking around your demo site here is that many small businesses have brochure style websites. And what you're highlighting here is a lead generation website.
Exactly. Yeah.
Massive difference in terms of what people are going to get as a return from their investment off their website. So.
Exactly. And some businesses, who only need like 2 or 3 clients a year, they might only need a brochure website, but most businesses need more leads. Most businesses need to generate, more clients. And so your website, your website's only as good as the result it gets for your business. Like you can have a sexy looking website, but unless it's giving people the ability to connect with your business and generating leads for you, then the website or the marketing strategy that you're using aren't working. So there's either 2 things that go wrong. Either number 1, you're not getting traffic to your site, or number 2, your website's not converting. So there's no opt-in sections like this converting leads on the site. So if you're not getting leads in your business right now through your website, it's one of those 2 problems. Either you're not getting people to your site or your site's not converting. So yeah, take a look through this demo site if you like on our website. That'll give you a bit of an idea of the kinds of stuff that we do. And then obviously when we build a client's website, it starts out with this demo site. I'll just bring up an example here of an example website. It starts out like with these kinds of elements, but then once we add photos and text and stuff, the sites, are customized to fit, what the client needs. So this is an example one here. It's sort of still loading up at the moment, but you can sort of see like once it gets added with your own photos and your own content, the sites all look completely different. They don't all look exactly the same. They're designed to fit out to what the customer needs. So that's a kind of a bit of an example of the way we do stuff. Any sort of thoughts on that, Paul?
No, you're ticking all the boxes, and you're touching on things that many people miss when I'm talking to them. And the common themes that come through to me are, one, we don't know where to start, we don't know what to do. So you're giving them a process and a template. All they've got to do is come up with their content. The other part is that exactly what you've said. We talk to clients who are saying, we've had a website for 2 years, we've generated no leads in 2 years, we don't know why. What you've highlighted there is some very simple tricks and tools that they may be lacking, that with a bit of tweaking and a little bit of knowledge and getting the right people to help them, will make a big difference and will change the way that they're generating leads from their business off their website.
Yeah, cool. So here's so what I thought I'd do now is I'll just explain sort of why I sort of set up Lightning Sites the way we did. So before, I mentioned Design Fox before. When I was working with Design Fox, what we were doing was selling websites for an upfront cost. And that's what most traditional web developers do. So according to Forbes magazine, the average is sort of 5,000 US. And that's obviously a US study, but it'd be fairly similar here in Australia. It'd be between 5 and 10 grand to get a conversion focused website. That is, obviously you can get cheaper websites for like you mentioned, like a brochure style, or like if you can pay an Indian to do it or something like that. But to get a guy who understands how to build something that converts, it's going to be upwards of, probably, to be honest, upwards of 7,500 Australian, or let's just say 5 to 10 grand Australian. So then what we were doing, so that's what we were doing with Design Fox. We're selling it for that kind of upfront cost. And then what we were doing was we were selling our Amazon hosting separately at $35 a month. And then we were doing support at $120 an hour for my staff, $150 an hour for me. And so basically our clients were spending around $8,720 as an example over a 2-year period. And then the thing is, after 2 years, your website starts to look dated. So at the end of a 2-year period, you need to basically do a refresh of your website. And so you almost have to do the whole process all over again, especially with how quickly the web agency, web space is changing. I didn't like this model. I didn't like it for myself because it meant that people would ring me randomly. They would have broken stuff on their website. They've got an issue. It's an emergency. I need your help. And so I didn't like it because we would just get we would always have always have emergency phone calls. But I also didn't like it for my clients because they're spending $8,720 on a website and they're going to have to do that every 2 years. And then also they're managing the site themselves. So they've got no help with support. They're not backing up their website. They're not maintaining their website properly. So then whenever they ring me, it's because there's an emergency, because something's broken or something's not working, or they've got this webinar they want to launch and they don't know what they're doing. And so they had a lot of stress in their life. I had stress in my life. I just didn't think it was a good business model for either party. And so that's why we decided to switch to Lightning Sites. The other thing is, with traditional web developers, their focus is always on winning new projects because they only get paid the big cash out when they get a new project. Whereas our new business model, which I'm about to show you in a moment, is we don't make any money on setting up the website. So in fact, we offer a money back guarantee on our website. So the only way we make money is by partnering and helping our clients to grow their businesses, because if we don't do that, we don't make any money. So we've basically switched our whole model to sort of focus more on the client rather than focusing on the kind of agency model. So the other question, I suppose, would be like, what if you did build your website yourself? And I suppose all of the things I've showed today, if you can do all of those kinds of things where you can optimize your website, and if you're good at building websites, then by all means go out and build a website yourself. Because if you can do it, you're going to save a lot of money. But the thing that I've found is that a lot of people can't do those things on their website. So they'll spend hundreds of hours, building a website that doesn't even do as good a job as what they would have done if they had got someone who knows what they're doing to do it. And I suppose if you think about how much that's costing you in your own time, if you could have been out there winning new clients or those kinds of things, then it's actually costing you a lot of time. Like, for example, for us, we spend a minimum of 36 hours building a website, and we spend a minimum of 2 hours a month maintaining the websites. So, and we do this every day. So if we're spending 36 hours building your site, then how much time would it take you to build it yourself, if that makes sense? So,
I think
and then
the key message here for small business owners is focus on what you're good at and create leverage and get people to do what you're not good at. And it's a message that I talk to people about over and over and over. And when you're in the startup phase, I understand you've got a limited pool of resources to throw around. But one of the key things is spend your money in the right areas and you'll get the right result.
That's right. So, because it can cost you, like I've got here, so like these are some things to think about. Like, is it going to cost you sales? Like, if you have a poor website, is that going to cost you sales in your businesses? The other thing to think about is there is actually hard costs. Like our websites, we have about $450 a year worth of premium plugins installed on our clients' websites. So there is hard costs that you probably don't think about if you're going to do it yourself. You obviously got to pay for hosting, your WordPress theme, all those kinds of things. And the other thing to think about is just what happens when things go wrong. Like, do you want to be the person on call, or do you want someone to look after that tech stuff for you? You need to ask yourself these questions. If you can do these things, do them well and do them yourself, and you're a startup and you don't have much cash, then absolutely do the website yourself. But you need to ask yourself these questions to make sure that it's the right move for you. Like, we don't need any more clients in our business. We already make money with the clients that we have, but we want to help more people. So if we can help, your business, then and this is a good fit for you, then definitely you could reach out to us and we could do some work together. So what are the benefits of Lightning sites? Well, our model is really affordable. It's a fixed fee service. We look after all the tech, but you control all of your IP. So what that means is that we don't own any of the stuff that you put on your website, but we just look after it all for you. You'll never have to buy a new website again. Every 24 months, you get a free rebuild or refresh of your site. So that's really important to understand. You get the benefit from all of our experience. We've got over 200 clients, actually in 14 countries now. We just sold another one in the Netherlands, which was random. So 14 countries. So we've got a lot of experience building sites all over the world. So we get to see what's working. We have money back guarantee. So I've heard so many stories of people paying, $10K for a website or $5K for a website or whatever, and then getting burned by a web developer. And I think the stories everywhere out there about people getting burned. So it's really important for us that we offer a money back guarantee, because we want to stand behind our product and say, like, if everything that I promise in this video, or if anything I promise you in a sales call, if I don't do those things, then you get all of your money back. So like, there's sort of that no risk approach that we sort of have with our business. And I think we've never had to use it, but I think it's good that people know that they can sort of, they know that if I promise something, that I'm actually going to deliver on what I promise.
I think that's an awesome situation, because I would see 1 to 2 people a week that have spent $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 on a website that aren't happy. So, and then they're in a dilemma because they really struggle to pick themselves up and go again.
Exactly. And then that's I get a lot of those phone calls, and I feel so bad for them because there's nothing I can do. I can't get their money back for them, but I just feel bad for them. So with us, you know exactly what you're going to get. You can look at our demo site. You can ask me for some sample sites. I'll show you some sample sites. So you know exactly what you're going to get. So you don't have the risk of getting crap work. And it's the same as if you tried to use like an outsourcer on Upwork or something to build your website. You never really know what you're going to get. Whereas with us, you kind of know exactly what you're going to get. So here's
one last thing on that, if I could. For anyone out there, there's a great book that you're probably aware of called Why Most Websites Suck, written by Peter Christ. It's a very simple book, but it's great for the people like myself or people that don't have the expertise you have. It's a really simple read, and it gives you an understanding about what's going to go on when your web developer is going to get you the best sort of site. So
yeah, Pete's a great guy. So he's and he writes in a really really lighthearted kind of way. So it's definitely a good read. So this is the prices for our normal clients. We actually do charge in US currency. The reason we do that is we have clients in 14 countries, so it's just the easiest way to explain our currency to like lots of different countries. But I've put the prices here on the left in Aussie dollars so that you can sort of see what the actual prices are as of today. So normally we do a custom setup site. Like I said before, there's 2 ways to do a setup with us. You can do a custom setup where I literally build your website from scratch. Like I talk to you about your business and then go through and customize each section on the homepage and basically custom design a sales process for you. That's what most people do with us. But some businesses can just use the demo site. You know, if they're like, especially like people that are like basic service-based businesses like lawyers, accountants, people like that, those, they can actually just use some of our standard template setups, which is $4.99 US instead of $9.99. This is just an example of the prices. Then we normally do a VIP planning session, which we charge out at $199 US. And then the bronze package with us is $99 US a month. So the total would be, in Aussie dollars, would normally be $1,523 for the setup of the site. But what we're going to do for your clients is I just really want to, I really like doing work with you, Paul, and so I want to make sure any of your clients that are working with us kind of get looked after. So what I wanted to do, just to make it nice and easy, is whatever it is in US currency, we'll just do the whole thing set up for 1,000 Australian, just to make it rounded out. So it'll be a saving of 523 Aussie dollars. So we can get people set up for 1,000 Australian. They'll get a 90-minute session with me or one of my web strategists, and we'll go through the website with them and actually plan out exactly what they want. Now, if they're going for a standard setup, then they'll get the standard setup for 500 Aussie dollars. So if you just want to use the demo site, we can get you set up for 500 Aussie dollars, including a planning session with one of my team to get you underway. And then the subscription starts at $125 a month for the subscription thereafter.
That's an absolutely brilliant offer, Cody.
Thanks, mate. And so the next step would be, I'm actually going to set up a special page, lightningsites.com/SBG for your clients. And that's just got a link to my calendar. So if anyone who's watching this just wants to have someone look at their website, give them some advice, or if you have any questions about our service, you can book a free call in with myself or one of my team. And we would love to chat with you about your website, about your business, to see if we're a good fit. If we are a good fit and it's going to be beneficial to you guys and the partnership's going to be the right fit for you, then we have an order page that you can click on there. It's lightningsites.com/order. And we're going to have a coupon code set up, SBG Accountants, and you can use that to get this deal here. So it'll get you a special setup deal from us, and it'll also let my clients know, my staff know that that you're a client that sort of I'll be sort of looking at personally. So it just lets them know that to give you guys some special VIP treatment, I suppose, during the process. So that's pretty much how it works.
All right, that's awesome. It's that's been fantastic, Cody. A really insight into how to get your website humming and how to take your business from gloom to boom. So I really appreciate your time, and really appreciate your insights and thoughts and tips there. And really, again, for anyone that's looking at building a website from scratch or has a website that isn't working, I highly recommend having a chat to you and the Lightning Sites team.
Thanks, mate. Well, thanks so much for having me. And looking forward to catching up next time in Melbourne. Maybe we could catch an AFL game, mate, so I can stop going bonkers up here with all these rugby fans.
Yeah, no, definitely. We'll have to get you to a serious team match like the Bulldogs. So.
Exactly. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Cody.